Oh, back so soon. If this isn't your first time here, then it's like you like me or something. If this is your first time here, then you're gonna learn to like me. But either way, today's video is going to be something you haven't seen before, not just because it's literally a different video than my other videos, but because I am going to be playing a video game. I'm not just playing a video game for the fun of it, even though it is going to be very fun. It actually does have something to do with screenwriting, so let's get into it. In a lot of my posts, I talk about how the protagonist's emotional arc should tie directly into the physical plot. And I haven't made a post where I've fully explained how to do this and why it's so important, so I thought what better way to do it than make some characters in The Sims. It's gonna be really, really fun and informative. As I'm about to show you, there are two different ways that you can go about tying in the protagonist's emotional arc with your physical plot. You either start with a character in mind and shape your plot to fit that character, or you start with a plot in mind and shape your character to fit that plot. Or if you're an amazing expert writer, then you have both of these magically in mind and they work perfectly together as you start writing your script. But if that's the case, this video isn't for you, so get out. Just kidding, you can keep watching. Hee hee. What? Outfit change? Yes, you saw that right. I accidentally recorded the second part of this video without my microphone on. So here I am today for take 2. I'm ready, as always, to play The Sims. Let's go. And I'm gonna do the story quiz feature so that we have a character with some traits ready to go and I can shape my story from there. Her goal is to become a computer whiz. Her traits are that she's good, a dance machine, and active. So you may already see the problem that I'm seeing here. This character has no flaws, at least not right now. So we're gonna give her some. And some of the traits that she was given here don't really do much for us as far as telling a story goes, like dance machine and active. Okay? So we're gonna say bye-bye to dance machine and active. And we're going to say hello to the gloomy trait and the loner trait. So much better. We have a much more well-rounded protagonist. I chose the gloomy trait because this is something that could make the protagonist get in her own way of achieving her goal. She wants to be a computer whiz, but because she's gloomy, she gets discouraged and hopeless every time that she doesn't do something perfectly or doesn't advance as quickly as she wanted to. And because she's acting this way, it holds her back from reaching her full potential. Wow, look at that! We have an emotional arc! Now we just have to figure out what sort of plot can happen to challenge this trait in our protagonist. And although loner isn't necessarily a flaw, it's something that can be directly challenged by another character in the story. Maybe it's time for us to bring in the antagonist. Ooh. Okay, let's make another random sim. To challenge our protagonist's loner trait, I'm thinking that this guy wants to be besties with everyone he meets. Obviously, that means his life goal is to become a friend of the world. But in order for this to come up in the story, this character needs to be close to our protagonist in some way. I'm thinking this guy is a co-worker at our protagonist's job. He's like the top dog in the social chain, everyone loves him, whereas our protagonist is a loner and nobody really notices her. She's in her own world. So now we have some natural external conflict. But the protagonist could easily just ignore this guy, right? Not unless we make it impossible for her to ignore him. This guy is up for the same promotion as our protagonist, and he's the front runner because everyone loves him. But the drama, the conflict, it can't stop there. It can't. We want to make this guy a total nuisance in our protagonist's life. You know, like a good antagonist. So, we are gonna make him cheerful and a bro. Because what gloomy loner likes a cheerful bro? Now, if you like bros and cheerful people, you may be thinking, isn't the antagonist supposed to have some flaws? Absolutely, yes, 100%. From the protagonist's perspective, this guy is already deeply flawed. But we also need to understand from the audience's perspective why this guy is a bad dude. Let's make him evil. How is he evil, you may ask? Maybe he's using AI to do his job for him, and he keeps getting away with it because he's distracting everyone with his gregarious personality. Our protagonist could discover this around the midpoint, and then she decides instead of just making herself look good to get this promotion, she's gonna expose him and make him look as bad as possible so that nobody wants to hire him. And bam, there you have it. We've got a pretty good starting point for a story. See how helpful it is to play video games? I should do this more often. Now let's do the other approach. Start with a plot and create characters and emotional arcs to fit into that plot. And we're gonna do this with the Sims scenarios. I swear I must be the only person who actually does these. Look at that, we have a scenario here that's actually very similar to the one we just made. So what does that tell you? I'm a genius? You should have already known that. So let's try a different plot. We're gonna go with honeymooners. It says, two Sims are freelance artists, recently engaged and recently moved to a new home far from family and friends. They're on their own with planning a wedding and honeymoon. Will they throw a successful wedding to remember, elope, or crumble under the stress of planning? How will they celebrate the start of their new life? We have our plot, so let's start making some characters. We've got our random Sim with no traits ready to go. We know based off the description of this scenario that she and her fiance are both freelance artists. Let's make her life goal reflect that. We're gonna make her a painter extraordinaire, and we'll give her a trait that supports this goal. She's gonna be ambitious. For the next two traits, let's think about just the plot. It's all about this couple struggling to plan their wedding and their honeymoon. So obviously, we're going to give our protagonist a trait or two that will make this plot incredibly challenging for her. The worst thing to be in this scenario is high maintenance, but the conflict can't just be related to the physical plot. I want to see some drama between her and her fiance that isn't just related to planning this wedding. So how can we make that happen? Let me show you. She's gonna be the jealous type. If we want her jealousy to come up in the story, our antagonist, aka her fiance, needs to have a trait that brings this out of her. So, her fiance is going to be non-committal, which is actually a really good trait for our antagonist to have in this situation. This not only will cause conflict and tension within their relationship, but also in the wedding planning process. I mean, if she can't commit to anything, it's going to be really, really hard for her to make plans for not just one, but two big events. Now, you're probably thinking, if the antagonist is non-committal, why would the protagonist want to be in a relationship with her anyway? So let's give the antagonist a redeemable trait. We're gonna make her a goofball. She knows exactly how to make our protagonist laugh and relax, which is what works in their dynamic. But this trait, even though it's a good one, is gonna cause some problems in the wedding planning process. She's gonna always be cracking jokes and just generally not taking things as seriously as our protagonist. But she's only doing this because she's a perfectionist. This is why she has a hard time committing and taking things seriously, because everything has to be perfect. If something doesn't seem perfect, she's gonna distance herself from it or turn it into a joke, which will cause conflict not just in their relationship, but in the wedding planning process as well. Look at everything coming full circle. It's like we crafted a good story or something. I'm actually tempted now to play both of these households and try to find a 3-act structure, but then I'd just be playing The Sims all day and no one wants that, right? Right? Because if someone wants it, I'll do it. I will play The Sims all day. Done it before, I will do it again. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something. And if you didn't, watch it again. And if you're still not learning something, watch my other videos. Bye!